Welcome back. We're going to continue our discussion on the terrestrial planets, ending with Mars. So, I quickly wanted to give a brief history about Mars and some early observations of it. So, first, its appearance is distinctly red, and that's due to the presence of iron oxides in its soils. And I'll talk a bit about that more in the next slide, but I wanted to quickly talk about the observations of Mars and these structures that were seen by, I'm going to butcher this name, but Giovanni Schiaparelli, maybe? He could see these long, faint, straight lines, and he said that they were like channels, which translated into English very poorly as canals. And that implies a artificial origin, something that we see in the towns around here, right? Canals that we see with water in them. And so a self-made American astronomer named Percival Lowell made a case for intelligent life on Mars, which he called Martians, who constructed these huge canals. And he made even maps of Mars and made all of these canals, these connecting lines. And you can see here we have some early observations, early images from Earth of Mars, and they're pretty poor quality. So he was seeing something maybe a little bit more in detail than this, but not much. And he's seeing these huge detailed canals apparently. And so this is now generally accepted to be an optical illusion, which is when the human mind, or because the human mind tends to see um, order in random features. That's what our minds tend to see. Like a lot of times we see faces in different objects that shouldn't have a face, right? So that's just a bit of background history on Mars. And here is some of the information on it. So, of course, we know it's the fourth planet from the sun. It's our neighbor. It's dusty, cold, and like a desert there. Has a very thin atmosphere made mostly of carbon dioxide, like we saw um, in the table that we saw before. Um, it does have seasons. It has polar ice caps, canyons, extinct volcanoes, rocky planet. It is a very rocky planet. It's pretty small. The rotation of it takes a little over 24 Earth hours, so a little longer than our rotation, and orbits the sun in about 687 Earth days. Um, it has two moons, Phobos and Deimos, and has no rings. It can't support life as we know it, and typically known as the red planet due to its appearance. Um, and you can see that in these images here that were taken by rovers. Um, the iron minerals in the soil oxidized, and this causes the soil and atmosphere look very red um, in appearance. So that's a bit about Mars. Now we can look at the geology on Mars as well, and we can see things that we see on Earth, like I said before, with um, looking at impact craters that we can compare to Earth. We can see different geology that's happening on Mars or has happened in the past. So we see things like wind erosion, so that's a picture of that here. We see erosion due to wind. We see runoff and outflow channels, and this is something that we only see on Earth due to water. So this implies that there was water on the surface of Mars at some point. Now, whether it's there today, no, but it seems like there probably was something in the past, okay? So we see these runoff channels. This looks like something that's called an alluvial fan. Um, and it has a few of them actually. There's another one right there. And it's due to water running off down like a mountain or something like that, higher elevation. Then we have this outflow channel. Looks kind of like a river if we were to dry up a river. It's got some little waves here and looks like flowing water was going through there. Um, then we have the presence of volcanoes, and we have one that's called Olympus Mons, and that is the largest volcano on Mars and the largest known in the solar system as of now. Um, the base of it, so the outer kind of rim here, would completely cover the state of Missouri, and the caldera, this inside part here, the opening at the top, is about the size of LA or about 65 kilometers. So this is very, very large, as you can kind of compare that to items or geographical locations on Earth. Okay. All right, so here are some general properties about these um, objects. So we've got um, things like the mass, diameter, density, um, and so forth of the moon and Mercury, since they are very similar, fairly similar. And then we have properties of Earth, Venus, and Mars, since they are fairly similar. Um, and so these are tables 9.1 and 10.1 in our textbook. Okay, so you can take a look at these, kind of compare them, see what is similar, what is very different, and so forth. Okay. All right, so the last thing I wanted to mention is that next time we'll talk about these giant planets. So, all the way from Jupiter to Neptune. We'll talk about those next time and include their moons. So, these guys have a lot more moons because they are more massive. Okay, so we will look at that in the next chapter, or not next chapter, but the next module, and get more in depth on those. All right, in the meantime, if you guys have any questions about our terrestrial planets or our solar system overall, please let me know and I will answer them. Thanks.